spectacular as the sweeping ranges and towering crags of the lawless empire that spawned it, the Furies. And to film this greatest of all novels by Niven Bush, who wrote Duel in the Sun, producer Hal Wallace has assembled a superlative cast of dramatic stars.
See, I really wish I could do the review. I should just do the reviews like that from now on. Just play the trailer and mime it. Anyway, hello there, CriterioNate here, number 435, Anthony Mann's The Furies. 1950, 109 minutes, black and white, English, blah, 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 moral, and all that good stuff. So, an interesting little Western, a cool little Western here. Good stuff, very different kind of stuff. Got some star names like Barbara Stanwyck in a much better role than she was in The Lady Eve, the other one we saw. And the late, great Walter Houston, who plays her father. But let me go and tell you the plot. So Barbara Stanwyck plays Vance. Oh God, what is her last name? Vance Jefford or Gefford or Vance Jeffords. And she has her father, T.C. Jeffords, owns this ranch that they've called the Furies or something like that. And they live there, and they're both really hard-headed people. You know, he got it. You know, she got it from him and all that. So they basically, you know, they live there, and I guess her brother's there too, Clay, but he's like only in 2 scenes. So it's mostly about the two of them. She is a very, you know, hard-headed, independent woman, and he just wants, you know, he really wants somebody, you know, he wants her to be with somebody who will, like, I guess, keep her in her place or something like that. And so anyway, so he's been having trouble, TC's been having trouble with these Mexican squatters, the Herreras, and she's actually good friends with one of them, you know, behind his back, you know, TC, behind Juan, played by Gilbert Roland. And so, you know, she kind of likes him, but at the same time, she also falls for this banker, Rip Darrow. And she falls for him, and they have a thing. And when she asks for, but TC doesn't like Rip, I guess. And so Rip, so he gives Rip a $5,000 bribe in order to keep her, you know, to stay away from her. And shockingly, Rip accepts it, you know, basically, you know, agreeing to stay away from Vance, and Vance is shocked, and Vance is really upset by this, and so she kind of, you know, divides this rift between them. But the big rift between the two of them occurs when an old friend from TC's childhood, Flo, comes back into his life, and she wants to marry him, but she knows that, but Vance finds out that, you know, she only wants his money. And so she's really upset by this, and she can't get her father to see, and so in a fit of rage, she ends up taking a pair of scissors and throwing them at Flo's face, permanently disfiguring her, making like these 2 big gashes in her face. By this point, and this was apparently the last straw, TC wants absolutely nothing to do with her now, has disowned her as a daughter, and so when there's a war, and so finally when TC and his ranch hands go to war against the Herreras, you know, Vance is on Juan's side. However, the Herreras end up admitting defeat, and Juan is hung, and his mother's really upset by this, and so in order to, you know, get revenge on TC, Vance enlists Rip's help, and, you know, they try to rekindle their romance, and, you know, it kind of, you know, they end up kind of getting back together, and they figure it all out. And so they end up tricking TC into believing that someone is going to buy their ranch because I guess his money has been dwindling. He's been paying off everybody in what are known as like TC notes, which are like, I guess, like stocks or something like that. And so his wealth is basically dwindling without, you know, his daughter there, and his wife, you know, he barely sees his wife anymore because of her disconfiguration. And he even goes as far to ask for her for money for, you know, to help keep the ranch alive. and she kind of freaks out about that. But yeah, so Vance basically tricks her father into believing that there's some kind of secret buyer, and she ends up buying all of his notes, his TC notes, under I guess under an assumed name or something like that. And so anyway, he ends up realizing that it was her, and they end up talking it out, and I guess he ends up making up with her, realizing that he raised her, he realized that he raised her that way. He raised her to be this big, this really, really powerful woman, And so Rip, Vance, and TC all get together, and they agree to rebuild the Furies. However, the mother of Juan at the last few minutes ends up shooting TC in revenge and killing him. And so the movie ends with Vance and Rip agreeing to take over the Furies and agreeing to name their TC's grandchild after him. They're going to name him TC Jr. or something like that. So, and that's basically the film. So a great film, a great little Western. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up, but I would like to see it again, and maybe in a few years I'll watch this one again because it was good. I thought it was a really interesting Western. I don't think we have anything else by Anthony Mann, so I can't say anything else about the director, and I don't think I've seen anything else by him. I know I've heard of some of his films. I know, let me take a look, because I know I've seen some of his stuff. Let's see here. The Naked Spur, I've heard of The Naked Spur and Raw Deal and Border Incident and The Man from Laramie and The Tin Star, Man of the West, El Cid, and a bunch of others. So yeah, but I don't think any of these are in the Criterion collection. So this is it, the Furies. So anyway, on this note, I mean, I'd like to see more, and he comes off as a really interesting guy. One of the things that they talked about in the supplements is how he came up with different ways to shock his audiences, such as the scissors in the head, and scissors cutting. You don't see the scissors impaled in the head, by the way. That's not a horror film. You just see her throw the scissors, and then they fall, and there's blood on them, and then you see Flo's face, all bloodied, and the two cuts, that the blades made. So that's all you see. But still, that's still pretty shocking for 1950. It was definitely a very violent scene. So again, so that's all I've got to say. The Fury is a really cool Western. I'm giving it an A. Really good stuff, and one that I'd like to watch again in the near future. So good stuff. Supplements. Now, I don't have the list of supplements because that's all I get is the chapter list, so I have to go through memory. There's an interview with Anthony Mann that he did back in the 60s for BBC television where he talks about his films. I think it's called The Films of Anthony Mann. There's an interview with his daughter, Nina, I think, and she talks about her father's films and how, when she was growing up, she didn't really, grasp onto what he was doing until after his death. But one of the really cool supplements is this 9-minute interview with Walter Houston that he did back in the 30s, and it was part of this series that Warner Brothers was doing called the Intimate Interviews, where they made a little short film, a little short one-reeler, and basically it was this woman went around and interviewed all these stars. So Walter Houston's just in the pool, and she's asking him all these questions, and he just has a kind of a humorous way of responding to them. So yeah, that was really cool. I love those little kind of before the movie shorts that people made. I'm a huge fan of Three Stooges, so those short comedies and all that, and that kind of stuff I love. So and then the trailers, and I think that's about it. So. Again, a really nice package. The Furies gets an A from me. Good Western. Alright, so that's it for today. Tomorrow, Before the Rain. And then, oh god, did I not take the damn slip off this thing? So yeah, we'll just, well, yeah, it's a vampire, and then mononcle, traffic, yeah, rain upon the brain and all that. So yeah, so anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Don't play with scissors, and if you do, don't throw them at people's heads. And don't run Mexican squatters off your land, you know. Yeah, and don't make fake weird notes. You know, I don't know. That's all I got. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow for Before the Rain. And until then, goodbye.